So I got these external monitors and they're not exactly what I thought they would be. So I got to take them back. And while I'm doing that, I figured we could talk about why quitting your 9 to 5 to pursue photography might not be the best choice for you. It is spring and it was like 45 degrees this morning. And if you're like me and you live in the South, like, man, it's supposed to be that way. The other day it was like 65 when I woke up. So I don't know what's going on. But we're gonna jump into it. Reason number one, you get to pick and choose who your clients are. So if you have clientele that you're like, do I want to work with you? I don't really know. I probably don't want to work with you. You can easily just say, no, it's not a good fit. Versus if you're doing it full time, sometimes you run into the issue of you have to take the job because you need the money. This can help to a degree because you gotta learn how to deal with people better. You gotta learn how to deal with bad situations better. You know, you have all these different reasons that could actually work in your favor because you can get better at it. But then you deal with the stress of dealing with these kind of clients. The clients that can't be satisfied and might want you to redo the shoot, might want a refund. And you just spent all that time and everything editing. Now, this is where it comes into having contracts and all those kind of things are important. And even if you have contracts and all that, it could still damage your reputation as a photographer. But before we drop these packages off, I'm gonna get coffee. Number 2 on the list, told you, coffee. Cortado. I think this is a super underrated coffee. If you haven't had it, it's basically just an espresso shot and cut with milk, so it's like half and half, basically is what cortado means in Spanish from my understanding. And number 2 on the list is kind of like goes with it is don't quit your 9 to 5 when you have good money coming in and your photography work isn't there yet. And when I say it's not there yet, I don't mean that your work isn't good. I just mean that you don't have the income to replace it. So if you're making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year and you're doing photography work and you're only making $30,000, don't quit and have to replace that $50,000 with more work. If you get to the point where you have that much work coming in, that's great. And that's when you can get to the point of looking at it. But I wouldn't just go and quit my day job for the sole fact of, oh, I want to do this full time when you have money coming in, but you don't have enough to cover all your expenses. Is it worth that risk to you where you might be struggling? First, if you have your 9 to 5 and you kind of just have this as like a fun backup thing going on. But when you get to the point where you can just basically replace your 9 to 5 with the same amount of income, that's when you make the jump. If you're thinking like, oh, I need to jump straight into this, maybe you don't. Maybe you wait until you can replace it, or you do what a lot of us do and you work your 9 to 5 and you do this as well. Number 3 with having a 9 to 5 and doing this just as the side instead of going full time is that you can create what you want to create. You're not going to be stuck creating something that you're not passionate about, or you have to take a bunch of gigs that you don't really care about, like we talked about earlier. So that's one nice thing about having something like a 9 to 5 versus feeling stuck and having to just take whatever gigs come in. You can create those things you want to create, those movies, those short stories you want to create, the ones that have meaning behind it, the ones you're passionate about. You're going to have the opportunities to do that because you're going to have your normal job and then you're going to be able to do those on top of it. You don't need to feel rushed like you have to be full-time. If you're not full-time, you're doing it wrong. There's a lot of us that just take gigs that come in that we want to do, or we have a specific niche we want to focus on. Like me, I like focusing on working with cities and towns and helping promote them, right? And this is something that not a lot of work comes in all the time. When they have festivals, they have events, stuff like that goes on, I get work, but not all the time. But I have a 9 to 5. And don't get me wrong, I get the dream about wanting to do it full time. I would love to do it full time, but I also want to be able to create the things I want to create and not feel like I've got to go take that next portrait session, I got to go take that next wedding, I got to go take whatever. And this is a little easier for me because I get to work remote, so I can work from anywhere. I can take my computer with me, I get to stay at home, I get to create while I'm working, or after I work, or whenever. I have more flexibility and more time. And that's not gonna work for everybody. People have to go to the office and things like that. But it allows me the freedom to decide what I wanna do. I need to go back to doing a job that, hey, you know what? I just need to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. And then taking gigs that come in, because having a steady paycheck and taking care of your family is more important than your pride and your ego thinking, I went into this, I have to stay into this. No, like, check that at the door and take care of you, take care of your family, whatever it is, and then take those gigs when they come in. And I know this is counter to what a lot of people post online about rushing into it, getting into it, but if you have those opportunities to go 100% into it, go into it. Number 4, and my last reason, if you have the chance to go into it full time, absolutely do. An argument to all this is maybe you're young, Maybe you stay at home with your parents. Maybe you have money and you just want to say, hey, I'm going to go straight into this and see what it's like for 6 months and see if I can pull it off. Go for it. Absolutely go for it. See what you can do. See if it changes your life. But these were just my 3 points as the reasons why I like having a 9 to 5, along with being able to just do this on the side, get better at creating, get better at storytelling and all that, versus not having those chances because I'm stuck doing these gigs to bring money in and I don't really have any free time to create other things. And also, next time you're at a coffee shop, order a cortado.